This is getting hot and heavy and crazy in a good way.
Story of our week. People are fed up.
People are the people. We the people still exist. This shows how. This really shows how much it exists, how important that it is. I'm Matt Logan, the host of This Matters in Real Life. Oh, hey, stay tuned at the end of this. I'll give you some more information.
Sorry. I'm sorry. We thought you were someone else.
During the recording of the following podcast, no Democrats, Republicans, actors, chemists, dogs, cats, well, you get the idea, were harmed. However, it has been said some have been offended by the opinions seen and heard here. Oh, and please remember to pull clips out of context.
It showed me that I failed in many ways, not being as involved as I could have been and should have been. I'm not saying that my kids' education was bad. I'm just saying I could have known more, right? And we get so caught up in the day-to-day trying to pay the bills, and with inflation the way it is now, that's getting harder and harder to do. And so there's that too. But we're going to talk about how multiple school boards have been just rung through the ringer on this thing.
Yeah, I think people are not scared of speaking up anymore.
There's nothing else to lose.
They're just done.
There's nothing else to lose.
Yeah. New freedoms. I mean,
that they've already been lost in some areas. I mean, it's pretty, not freedom in general, but there's a lot of them that with these mask mandates and all this. And the thing that, you know, is crazy to me is Loudoun County has been in the news, and with all this kind of stuff that has been going on and happening there in Virginia. Hey everybody, just really quick, if you haven't done so yet, hammer the share button. Okay, thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Now back to the show. How in the world did they still have these mask mandates? Because it's just proving over and over again that these policies, these people that think that there can be a utopia if they control it, is outrageous. And they have literally a gender fluid, I think is how they word it, boy that has raped a young lady, and then the superintendent covered it up and stuck this gender fluid person into another school, and guess what happened? Now he's being charged with kidnapping. He locked this girl up in, you know, so he's being charged with kidnapping and stuff on it. It's pretty insane that this stuff is happening in this same county, and they keep the mask mandates. And it's like, just shine a light brighter on the stupid stuff we're doing.
right. And I'll say that obviously that student has some issues, not because they're gender fluid or whatever. I mean, it just comes down to being a bad person, whether it's upbringing or whatever it is, but that they're, however that person identifies, is doing this to classmates, female classmates. It's just a bad person all around. Unfortunately, it's going to shine a bad light on students that are transgender or fluid gender or whatever you want to be identified as. But the school district hiding it isn't helping anybody.
No.
Whatsoever. And they're making some really bad leadership decisions.
It sure looks that way. And excuse me, I'm not just going to pick on Loudoun County, because Clark County in Las Vegas area, same thing, $200 million lawsuit by multiple parents in that school district. It's happening in San Francisco.
Of all places.
Of all places, San Francisco has had enough. CNN actually covered some of this stuff. And here's the interesting thing for me is now that the people are standing up and saying no more. We know these COVID numbers. We know that they're completely slanted. COVID is real. We get that, but we also know that our kids are primarily safe. They need an education, but outside of just the educational part, they're saying, look, this isn't healthy for our kids' mental health either. Not only is it bad physically because they're not able to interact and play together, and that takes away physical activity, that hurts their mental health. Suicide in school-age children is skyrocketed. Drug overdoses skyrocketed. All of these things, and so parents, way to go! You're pushing back. I love it.
Yeah, the long-term effect on everybody, let alone school-age kids. And my daughter's 5, and it is what it. I don't. From what I've seen of her and her classmates, I don't think it's as much of a concern. But when you get into some of the older students, the mental wear on them, whether it's because they haven't been around classmates or just the abrupt change in their lives and their interactions with other people, or lack of interaction with anybody face to face because they've been behind their screens for 2 years, distance learning, what they're losing in social engagement is just, I'm nervous to see what the long-term effects on that are. And obviously it's not going to affect all students the same, but the students that may already be receptive to having some social anxiety issues, this is just going to make it so much worse.
When you say long-term effect, the reality of that is we're still seeing some long-term effect from things like the financial crisis of 2008 and that whole thing. We literally are still seeing that. Mm-hmm. How many years has that been? 15 almost?
Or 14.
14, yeah. So, and people are still talking about how that's affected, some of the things, their livelihoods and job loss and home loss, and they're rebuilding. And all these years later, imagine the kids that are, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 10 years from now, what they're going to be feeling and how that's going to really affect them and things. That's something that can't be measured currently. We know it's going to be a problem.
Absolutely.
Let me put it like this. Look, the fact is that we could have a lot more guests on the show if we did like a Zoom or there's a whole bunch of them that you could do online, right?
Right. Yeah.
I had somebody text me today and like, hey, I'll come on, but it's got to be via some sort of FaceTime type. And I'm like, nope. Face-to-face is too important. These types of conversations are too important to do via any type of FaceTime, in my opinion.
I would agree with that.
Excuse me.
I would definitely agree with that. I think having that option for certain situations is good. I mean, people in the last few years have realized that there's a lot of meetings that don't have to happen.
Yeah.
But I'll go with, I'm going to look at it at an angle for our government and our city council and our county commissioner meetings, and having openly public meetings where they can face their constituents face to face. And you cannot do that in the Zoom meetings. And
no.
And that's the problem is, our government, our governor's authority, the lockdown authority that allowed them to do these Zoom meetings, that's been done. They need to get their butts back in their seats and sit in front of the people that they need to answer to and take the heat.
And one of the things that's been interesting with even these school boards, I've watched a lot of videos, like, students taking videos of their parents discussing things and all these different videos, dozens of them I've watched. And it's literally like the people who were so let me say it like this. A Republican says, well, you're a Democrat, so you didn't vote for me anyway, so I don't care about you. Mm-hmm.
Instead of trying to win over their heart.
Right. Mm-hmm. A Democrat, same type of thing. That's like literally what they've been saying. Mm-hmm. And it's so far the videos that I've seen have been more the left or liberal progressive agenda. And I'm not saying that all those agendas are bad, but some of them are. and that's the reality. Some of them are very bad. Some of the we want to segregate. You know, there's a college that has segregated now in California. What?
Wasn't that what we've been fighting against for the last 60, 70 years?
So some of those agendas are not good. So I've literally seen the videos that they have said, well, we know you didn't vote for us. So
your voice doesn't matter.
Yes.
But but those people that didn't vote for them, they're still constituents.
Absolutely. So they clearly don't understand how this works, in my opinion.
Right. You're still representing them.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's extremely frustrating, especially when your elected officials run a campaign on communication and responsiveness to their constituents, yet don't answer phone calls and emails.
Right.
And having a track record of that, it just goes to show elections have consequences. And
on both ends, good and bad.
Attention, yes. Mm-hmm. Pay attention to your local elections.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Way to go, students. There's been students that have been involved in this. I think that's fantastic that they've said, look, we can't take this anymore. I see involved in Maryland even, students got together and said, hey, we want to be part of this thing. Let's help our parents push this. This is what is being said in school. This is what's being taught in our curriculum. We don't like it. It makes us uncomfortable. And it's not, it's all students of all different walks of life that I've seen and read about. And more of that needs to happen. We have a lot more in common as people, as humans, than we have in differences. So we need to understand those. We need to come from that paradigm and not say, well, it's my way or no way.
Yeah. And these kids aren't stupid.
No.
They can see what's going on.
Yeah.
So in some terms, maybe they're even better than adults are because they're not sold on mainstream media, and they're young enough to try and do their own research. Maybe that's just being
and we're
overly
talking about
optimistic.
teenagers that I've read about.
Yeah,
right.
Maybe I'm being over optimistic, but a lot of kids, they're very impressionable. But I also think that a lot of them have the ability to think on their own, and I think a lot of them do think on their own, and their voices need to be heard.
They do need to be heard, and I'm happy that parents have said, it's pretty easy, honestly. It's pretty easy to so kids, teenagers, they like to, I remember I was that way, and my kids were that way. They like to exaggerate. They like to embellish. And it's
Adults
really
do too.
Right, for sure. But it's good to see that the parents have paid close enough attention now at this point that they're like, wow, we didn't realize it was this bad. We thought you were being a normal teenager and saying it's terrible, and it wasn't really.
Right.
So I think that's really important that's happening right now.
Right.
So I think that gives me encouragement and optimism.
Yeah, and with distance learning, parents they're being forced to participate in their kids' education, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe not at the time. I've got a lot of friends that are, they have kids that are in the upper grades, and they're having to do that distance learning with them, and it's a battle. It's trying to have a full-time job and teach your kids.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what they're going through, but it's definitely an eye-opener, and obviously there's some good that's coming out of that, of teachers are going to be much more appreciated than they may have in the past, because parents, maybe just, teachers will take care of it, I don't have to worry about it. Well, now they've been put in the teacher's shoes, but
yeah.
There's some good that's come out of this, but I think people have really awakened to the reality of what's happening around us.
I was just thinking as we were talking about this too, it's like we see, I've tried to do what I've done, whether it be speak with students in school about my daughter's death and all those things, I've tried to be very centered on it. And what I mean by that is not fluctuate. My message hasn't changed. And when I started the podcast, I wanted that to be the same thing. It wasn't done for any purpose other than a mission. The mission had to be the core. And I look at CNN and as we're talking, and I see a lot of these other MSNBCs and all of these, they're jumping on this like bandwagon and saying, oh wow, our ratings are way down, so maybe we better change. And I think that my thought here is just kind of off the cuff is I think we need to look at this and support more students and more parents like this that are standing up and shining a light on these things, rather than like, oh, CNN and oh, these celebrities and oh, this. And I hope that's helped me a lot. I hope that helps a lot more people. I started the podcast in 2019, and the reality is in 2020, when everything shut down, literally more than 1 million podcasts started.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how many are still going and, still, whatever. And that's not the point. The point is this: people wanted to talk. They had something to say. They were concerned, whatever. So I was just thinking, we ask you to hammer the like button, hammer the share button, and all those things, and send us a comment. But I was thinking, maybe we need to be more active in supporting small podcasts like this, small platforms like this. People that are really wanting to talk about real life things. They're not grifting in the sense of they're doing whatever they can to make money at it, changing their, with the wind, with whatever their core values supposedly are. I'm going to try to do that. Support these people a little bit more.
Yeah.
I need to ask you to do that. Don't hammer our share button or like button. Hammer someone else's. Someone that seems to be have good core values and are doing it for a mission or a purpose. So that's what I have off the cuff, man. Sorry. I know I get on those rants sometimes, but
nothing wrong with that.
That's how I am. We'll see you next time. Hey, I know that there's a lot of things to be critical of me for, and I accept that. I've not always made the best decisions, but I've always tried to learn. Always tried to not repeat mistakes and give grace. The truth is I'm trying to do things to build a decent future, and this remodel here is to give a place for people to come and have conversations and just do things like build the future. Just build the future in the best way that we can, and we do that by conversation. That's how it starts. Finding solutions through conversation.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to this conversation that I just had. I was very honored to be a part of it, honored to be the host of This Matters in Real Life. I think it's extremely important to cover a lot of different things and topics and get people's opinions. When my daughter died in the car crash 10 years ago, I said that's what I would do. I would look at the answers, I would look at the truth, and I would make sure that they would intersect. They would not divorce each other. It's so often that we want answers that are not the truth. We want answers that are comfortable. We want answers that make us feel good. Well, there's a lot of things in life that it's not the case. So who am I? Well, I am you. I'm no different than you are. I eat and sleep and, all the different things. Same thing that you do. I hurt. I feel joy. I've had a lot of experience, probably just like you. I work hard, probably just like you. One of the things that you can do to support us is go to shinybrandmerch.com, where you'll see things like the sweatshirt that I have on. I'm a full-time, a truck driver. What do I deliver? Well, I deliver trucks. It's a little bit different of a gig than a normal truck driver, yes, but I am what would be considered a commercial vehicle transport specialist. So about 5 to 6 days a week, I deliver trucks. I get into a truck, I go 2,000 miles, I deliver it to its new owner, I get on an airplane and I go find another one. nothing real glamorous unless you make it that way. And I've decided that I would have a lot of conversations along the way, and some of those conversations I'll be able to share with you. Again, hey, thanks for your support. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time.